Morning, ladies and gents, and welcome to our next webinar, part of my webinar series. And this is all about 5 reducing anxiety tips, so ways that you can help reduce anxiety in your life. Simple, easy tips is just what I love having. So we're going to be talking about stress and its effects on diseases, diet, also signs and effects of stress, and how, stress sizes up with anxiety, and then ways to deal with it. So this is a great webinar to listen to if you want to feel more energized and more alive, if you're looking for easy solutions to greater sense of well-being, if you want more happiness in your life, if you do not want to be stopped by fear and anxiety in your life and you want to move ahead, and if you want to be alive, which is part of my message about being alive. So I'm doing these webinars as a way of touching more lives. I love seeing it when people become switched on and they become more alive in their life. And I do this by running my life transformational seminars called Vitae and More seminars. So I still study about healthy living. I'm always learning for new tips and strategies and always taking more in. I'm a complementary therapist and have been for over 35 years. I've been teaching for over 20 years. I make a wide range of healthy herbal products. I'm an author. I've had my own raw food cafe. I've built houses, renovated houses, and my main focus now is helping people to become more alive. Done lots of things, just some testimonials here from my Be Alive book. Gave me the courage to trust my intuition. And there one from Elaine about she loves my tea, she loves my purity for detoxing, my Chiron tea for colds and flus, my Vega tea, which is my anti-candida tea, and then my antioxidant tea, Sirius tea. So there's a whole range of teas there that you can see. And here's Ashley from Perth. She was coming down with a cold, so she looked at taking some cold and flu tea, and it was gone. So many testimonials, lots of people like the herbal stuff that I make, and you can find that on www.driedherbsonline.com.au. This is my book, Be Alive, a refreshing and practical book giving simple ways to get straight to the point of how we can embrace our lives in every way, shape and form. So if you want a copy of that, you have to contact me. So that's enough of me. Let's talk about stress and anxiety. So basically, what is stress? So stress comes into our bodies, and it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. It's the magnitude of the stress, how long we are stressed for what time frame. That's an issue. Is it just a short-term thing? Is it a long-term thing? Is it a continual thing? All that very much comes into play. So when we become stressed, it does activate the flight or fright response in our nervous system. So once we become into a sort of a stress response, our adrenaline starts pumping around our body. We're ready to fight tigers, even though there are no tigers now. There is, but not in the streets for us to fight. So what that happens is when we get into flight or fright, basically it shuts down the blood flow to the digestive muscles. The secretions that are needed for digestion shuts down. So quite simply put, when we become stressed, digestion shuts down. Energy goes to the arms and to the legs and to different parts of the brain so that we can actually be ready to cope with the stress that we're having. It's not a priority for the body to be dealing with the digestion because it's getting ready to run or to disappear or whatever it is. It's getting us in protection and survival mode. So it can cause the esophagus to go into spasms. It will change how the stomach's working. It will make the colon either react with diarrhea or constipation and or both. So people with chronic stress can end up being either constipated or suffer from diarrhea or have shades of both. Heaps of diseases are connected to stress. Gastric ulcers, celiac disease, IBD, so irritable bowel disorders, and many, many more. Poor digestion is always the first initial common complaint, and we spend billions of dollars each year on drugs, on antacids, or on gastritis medication, which can quite easily be preventable by basically reducing the stress and anxiety in our life. So stress has an effect on our diet. So once we become under stress, our body's need for nutrients is increased. So we become, you know, in this catch-22 where we're chewing up nutrients. We need more nutrients. Our body's having to work harder. And with that, one thing that comes from that is basically we have an increase in allergic reactions. So it would be good to do a webinar on allergies, because the allergy statistics are just growing and growing and growing. We're becoming more reactive. We're becoming more allergic to stuff. We've got more stress in our lives. We've got more impaired digestive function in our diet in our lives, and we're eating poorer food. So, you know, the stress exacerbates the allergies exacerbate the stress, and it becomes this snowball effect where the two of them just basically can get way out of balance and they start feeding each other. So stress and nutrition are very much linked. So if we have a bad diet and we're quite quite happy in our lifestyle, this would not be as serious as eating a bad diet and being stressed. Okay, so stress is a huge factor because, as I said, it just shuts off digestion. So stress always needs to be addressed. So we want to find ways to learn to overcome our stress and ideally choose a healthier diet, and then we're winning all around. So what stresses do we have in our life? We can have extreme temperatures, allergens, emotional, mental issues. We can have past traumas, lack of rest, lack of sleep, not relaxing enough. We can have infestations, parasites, bacteria, viruses, microbes, fungi, poor nutrition, environmental, whether it's pollution, whether it's noise, electromagnetic frequencies. It can be, you know, very different, xenoestrogens, pesticides. Injury, we have excessive exercise, can be a detrimental thing as well if we're pushing ourselves too hard and we're burning up the cells. Starvation, malnutrition. There's a lot of malnourished people, even though we are overweight, predominantly as a planet. There's also a lot of malnutrition there. So suffering with anxiety and also fear. So fear is the major emotion that stops us and prevents us from moving forward. And because of that, you know, it's often used in marketing, it's used, you know, big industries, it's used in media, just to aim for us to be doing something or to not be doing something, because it stops us or prevents us. So when we become stressed, what happens? We become reactive and we start to act out, and we react rather than act. So things get blown out of proportion, things become a drama, like, you know, it just becomes this big thing when, you know, making the whole mountains out of molehills sort of scenario. And that is a sign of we're being reactive. So I was sick a few weeks ago, and I was reacting because I felt sick. I felt, you know, my vitality low, my immune system was impaired, I didn't feel good. Drama. You know, it happens to all of us. So when we're stressed, we can also stop eating or we can start eating. So people either reach for food or they won't reach for food. So that is very different. We can also start reaching for things like alcohol, smoking, gambling, drugs, any way to sort of hide what we're doing. So, you know, addictive behaviours do exacerbate when we're stressed. We can then end up not sleeping very well. We can stay awake during the night. I make a fantastic sleep tea that's really good for that. We find an inability to make decisions. We find that we're not being able to work efficiently, and that's because the blood is going to other parts of our brain, so we're not becoming so logical, we become illogical. We can have headaches, heart palpitations, head and shoulder tension. We can have persistent and reoccurring infections. So our immune system drops. Our immune system lines, you know, 70 to 80% of the immune system lines our gut. So if we're stressed, we're not getting adequate nerve innervation or circulation or functioning in the digestive system. If the digestive system is not functioning, neither is the immune system. Okay, then we become tired, we become burnt out. So when we become stressed, we might, you know, want to use more drugs or medication. We want to numb the pain. We become dehydrated. Our need for water increases. We lose vital nutrients. We can start feeling sick. You know, we'll just have that churning feeling in our guts. We're not absorbing our food. We can then become, like, immune system becomes impaired, so fever and pain. There can be bloating, indigestion, gas, constipation, diarrhea, as we mentioned before. Hormones start going out of balance. Skin will change. We can start, you know, long term, it can affect things like our bone structure, appetite's changed. So these are all stress. So, you know, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, a lot of digestive disorders, fever and pain. So who's more prone to stress or anxiety? Commonly people who, I would say perfectionists, would be, you know, perfectionists and control freaks would be the biggest ones. So people who want to basically seek approval and love from others. People who are looking to other people to please us. And the reality is that no one else is ever going to please us. We are only going to please ourselves. So, you know, it'd be good to start learning to find our happiness inside and not outside. People who want to be the centre of attention, look at me, can be prone to stress again, because if people aren't complying to their wishes, they can get upset, and that is always going to happen. If you're a perfectionist or a control freak and always want things to be your way, and of course we have different shades of this. You know, I was a pretty full-on control freak. Now I'm learning to to control things less. So, you know, these are all characteristics and traits that a lot of us can have. And we can be, you know, a perfectionist in one thing in our life, but not in the other. So that can also be changing as well. People who live in the fear of the future and are always haunted by the past. Stress can be dependent on the individual and on different personality types. We do all experience stress. So if we learn to grow inside first, then that's going to help. There are ways we can cope and deal with stress, otherwise the universe wouldn't put things in our lives. So we don't have things that come into our lives unless we're in a situation to deal with it. We won't be given a problem unless there is a solution. Okay, so let's get on to some of these tips. First one is always going to be diet. Okay, so when we're feeling stressed, digestive system function is shutting down. So what can you do? You can just take the load off the gut. So toxic overload is a stressor, and it can lead inefficient liver function, poor stress response, and poor hormone control. This can then make allergies more sensitive, or even increase the, you know, the potential of having allergic reactions. Gut wall becomes damaged in the toxic overload, and the resultant thing is basically leaky gut. So I tend to believe that any skin conditions go back to leaky gut. So you've got to do some gut repair. So when we're stressed, we also need more vital nutrients. You know, so paradoxically, when we're stressed, it occurs at a time when appetite and absorption sometimes is reduced and is very low. So diet is very important in recovery, and what we want to be doing is starting to eat a lot of simple whole foods, colourful foods, red foods, orange foods, purple foods, blue foods, you know, not just the white foods or the beige diet. And things there like, you know, walnuts, seeds, oily fish, chia, flax, coconut, hemp, avocado, I didn't put on the list there, are all really good options that you can be using. So tip number 2 is exercise. Okay, when we walk for about 1 hour, 3 times a week, we can increase our lifespan by 18 years. This week I was reading that for every 1 hour of exercise we do, it increases our lifespan by 2 years. So same thing. So exercise is very, very important, being backed up by a number of studies, and I'm sure I'll webinar on it at some stage. How we increase our exercise levels, then we can reduce our effects of stress. We also will change the biochemistry, and it stimulates the endocrine system. So being obese and exercising is a healthier option than lean people who are inactive. So weight can often have nothing to do with it. 60% of us do not exercise enough. So one of my main solutions for depression is activity, is to get off your butt, get outside, start doing something, start creating some action. Okay, so, you know, solution, and this so far, this isn't costing you anything other than getting off your bum, making time and doing something about it. But of course, keeping the balance with not doing over exercising, but good balance, healthy exercise. Okay, reducing anxiety tip number 3 is action. We can only change in our life from action. There is talk and then there is action. The two aren't the same thing. So if you want to have change in your life, there must be action. If things are not been working out for you as you've been living them, something's got to change. You have to change something. Sometimes the best action is no action as well. Sometimes we just need time to simply unwind and relax. And sometimes that's why we become ill, because it's just a message saying we need time out. We just need to be relaxing. Time has to be taken up for meditation, reflection, and recuperation. Okay, you need time out. Everybody benefits from things like meditation. So anxiety tip number 4 is mindfulness, okay? Accept what's going on. Sometimes you can't change it. You can't change other people. You can change how you feel about it. You just have to accept what's happening. Sometimes you've got to sit with it. And if you just sit with it and allow it to pass, and sitting with it is not the same thing as going to get a bottle of wine and having a drink, or, taking drugs or medication. That's not sitting with it. So it's really important that you sit with it. Know that it will pass. It will pass, okay? We are energy. Things are changing all the time. It will pass. Dialogue is talking about it and sharing how you feel, not so much what you're thinking, but how you're feeling. And you can dialogue with yourself by writing a conversation with yourself. You can dialogue with other people. There are other ways of doing this. You can see a counsellor or something like this. Observe. So, just observe what's happening. Okay, I can see that I'm reacting right now. I'm not really enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm not really enjoying how I'm treating other people. So I'm actually observing I'm doing it, and I'm mindful of it. And that is a first step to change. So that's okay. And the last thing is be in the now. So when we're in the now, we're not worried about the past. We're not worried about the future. We're just accepting what is happening and ideally observing it. And then we're not putting labels into things or falling into our behaviour. And anxiety tip number 5 is always keep reaching for a better space. We are the only person who's responsible for our happiness. We have choice. We can walk away, or we can do something that feels better. Better than staying where we are. So it's our choice. Surround yourself with positive, loving people who love and respect you. Know that you can change your mental mindset. It is a thought that you're having, and it's a choice. There's a split second before you have that choice to actually know that you're having that choice. And then just ask yourself, is it really important? Is it important? Does it matter? Okay, so we're just going to recap. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. So step 1 is diet. Eat feel-good foods. Have foods in your life that are going to feel good. And you've got all the colours down there. Green. I forgot to say green. Step 2, exercise. Do it. Just start regular exercise. And again, do it and make sure you do it in a feel-good place. Step 3, action. Or no action, whatever it is. Do you need to relax and take time out, or do you need to have some action? Step 4 is mindfulness. No, just be in the moment, be aware of what's happening, observe what's happening, and know that it will pass. And step 5 is always reaching for a better place. There is always a better place. And it's a case of just keep reaching for that better place. So there's only one way to make changes, and that is to be informed and to start taking responsibility and doing this one step at a time. I'm here to help you do that and to educate you. And this is part of my webinar series, is to start educating people about different aspects of their life and to empower them. How you can do that is by stay connected to ourselves, and let's look at some of the programs that I've got. And the questions you can ask yourself is, is the medication that you're taking, is it solving your problems? Is life getting better for you every day? Are you ready to take charge of your well-being? What is it that you want to be doing about it? Are you ready to learn more? Then I can show ways to help you find out more. So we've learned some tips through this webinar. You've learned basically about, 5 tips, like the, benefits of food, of exercise, of being mindful, of taking action, and also reaching for a better place. But if you want to be having some a vibrant health and vitality, what can you do about it? And one of the ways that you can do this is to sign up for my Lift-Off program. Here you're going to receive step-by-step instructions of how to implement the strategies and more. So this is a 6-week program where basically I help hold your hand through the whole process. We highlight and we look at different areas of your life and we see where the weaknesses are and what needs to be addressed. We work with diet, we work with exercise, we work with finding fulfillment, we look at relationships, we look at business, we look at money. We basically go through everything. And then we just start doing a process and a program, and week by week we just get you on track up to week 6, where basically we're just giving you some ongoing strategies, specialised diets to actually help you with that. If that's not for you, then be on our mailing list. Follow us on our Vitae or More Facebook page. Sign up for our newsletter. Go to louiseplant.com.au for the blogs. Or come for one of our weekends. We get people travelling from all over the place to come for our weekends to experience the embodiment feeling of being alive. Is that all? Yep, so that's all. So I'd like to thank you for coming to this webinar and being a part of this. Feel free to share this with your friends and share it as much as you can. And you take care of yourselves, and remember, just keep reaching for that better place and feeling good within yourselves, and we'll be in touch next time. You take care of yourself, and love and light to you all.